Rifftrax. I don't have a big tracks, but riffs I'm missing. Why you always gotta pick Rifftrax? Rifftrax picks on the tracks we're ripping. It's your lucky day, it's time for Rifftrax.
Hello, I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And welcome back to Every Rifftrax Short Reviewed, where I take 5 Rifftrax shorts in chronological order and give them a rating between 1 and 5, where the numbers stand for good, great, awesome, fantastic, and spectacular, since I don't think a bad Rifftrax short even exists. It's good to be back into this series for a couple of weeks after my Halloween videos last month, so let's jump right back in with episode 11 of Every Rifftrax Short Reviewed. Number 51, The Tale of Moose Baby, from August 10th, 2009.
The effort of his first steps tired Moose Baby, and he
died, apparently.
Who wants to watch a bunch of stock footage of forest-dwelling animals that's being passed off as a children's educational short about the life and times of a moose? Well, either way, it was a rhetorical question, so we're taking a look at it anyway.
He watched his mother and learned what to do. When she pushed her nose under the water to feed, he tried it.
He failed. His disappointed mother could barely hide her shame.
Moose Baby looked and listened as he followed his mother.
That camera out of my face, I'm warning you!
Only a few animals were still active in the valley, and the Moose Baby's home was silent and lonely.
Much like the Murphy home when the Vikings don't cover against the Bears.
When she left the pool to graze in the meadow, he followed her.
Moose Baby's abandonment issues would haunt him for the rest of his short life.
Wherever he went, the baby moose saw more creatures of the forest.
The baby moose named Moose Baby, right?
I hope so, yeah.
He grew larger and stronger, and learned the lessons of survival in a winter world.
Lesson number 1 for winter survival, do not watch the Star Wars Holiday Special.
When he was 2 years old, Moose Baby had grown into a sturdy young bull and carried a small set of antlers.
He began to resent that his mother had named him Moose Baby.
This short sounds like it would be pretty simple, just a fictitious story about a moose growing up in the wilderness for 11 minutes. Well, the people behind this so-called Tale of Moose Baby couldn't even stay on the topic for that long. It seems like the narrator has ADD and we never stay focused on our title character.
He saw a little chipmunk filling his cheeks with grass seeds.
He heard Dave Seville yelling in frustration at the chipmunk.
When evening shadows spread across the meadow, Beaver became active in the nearby pond.
His doctor told him to stay active and lose a few pounds or he was putting him on Lipitor.
The moose gathered in the meadow, and together they broke through the drifts and trampled down the snow to search for food.
It made for riveting television.
Baby red squirrels sunned themselves on a log.
A local hermit sized them up for that night's dinner.
He saw a ground squirrel, and the squirrel saw him too.
Dun, dun, dun!
The junco babies were safe in their nest on the ground.
The Tale of Moose Baby, ladies and gentlemen.
And the otter founded a good fishing place.
While Mr. Fish lived out his last moments in unfathomable suffering, thinking about the anguish of his wife and 12 young children.
This rambling children's tale gets a 3 out of 5.
So, this is life, huh? Frankly, I'm not that impressed.
Number 52, Flying Stewardess, from August 24th, 2009.
Very good, girls. You've learned your lesson.
Which is, when a man threatens to poop on the drink cart, take him at his word.
Time for a good old-fashioned training video. Today we'll be learning how to be airplane stewardesses. Now, as someone who has never actually flown on a plane before, I don't know how difficult a stewardess job seems in person, but is the job actually complex enough to require its own educational short?
As she's taught the geography of the routes that she will fly.
Makeup and boys and shopping, got it.
And how to serve me. Then the senior stewardess greets each passenger by name, creating a friendly feeling for the flight.
Hey, Mac. Hi, pal. How you doing, lady? Hey, there he is.
And winging over the towers of Manhattan.
Which reminds you to yell to your stewardess, "Where the hell's my Manhattan?"
Senior stewardess.
The captain thanks you for keeping the plane snake-free.
3 out of 4 passengers want to eat.
Those who don't have already tasted airline food.
They are required to maintain their figures, must be attractive.
Available.
Sailing a boat helps.
It does?
The big air transport changes course and speeds on to what city?
The pilot forgot.
That, but before she becomes a transcontinental stewardess, there's more.
More? How could there be more? The human mind only has so much capacity.
The funniest thing about this short, at least to me, is the fact that the short makes it pretty explicitly clear that you're going to learn the majority of the job by shadowing a trained stewardess on an actual flight. Why even bother making this thing if you're going to get all the details during your on-the-job training?
The pupil observes. She must observe how everything is done.
So you take this old biddy and you lean her fat ass back like this.
A girl learning a job at 3 miles a minute and a mile in the sky.
That's what I'd like to see for once around here. Now get to work, ladies!
She must be able to provide 21 skywriting passengers with hot 4-course meals.
If you count the napkin as a course.
To eat a portion of fried chicken that she serves takes about 65 miles.
This guy about 100 yards.
It's part of her job to point out the sights. Niagara Falls. No passenger wants to miss that scene of glory.
Oh my God, you're taking us to Canada? Let me off!
The stewardess brings their breakfast. Flying through the dawn.
It's like eating at Denny's, only with a much smaller risk of death.
In the dressing room, checking her passengers, remembering faces and names.
Like Old Lumpy Skull, Mr. Bad Pants, and the lady who smells like sausage.
A really fun product of the time training video, I've got to give this one a 4 out of 5.
Drink a cup of coffee, a passenger takes 30 miles.
To sharpen a pencil, 15.5. To pick up a dropped pen cap, 0.8 miles. To drill a 1/4-inch hole in a cinder block, 16.7 miles.
Stop him, he's gone mad with detail.
Well, there's Los Angeles.
Number 53, Constance Bennett's Daily Beauty Rituals from August 27th, 2009.
Remember I said stimulation is the basis of my skin treatment?
Ah, wait a minute, what is this thing rated?
Just like brushing your teeth is stimulation for your gums, makes your gums healthy, and brushing your hair is stimulation for your scalp.
Okay, stop saying stimulation.
Now this entry goes by really quick as it's only 5 minutes long, so I'll keep this one pretty short. And keeping it short won't be hard to do, seeing how this entire thing is just watching a woman take a bath and put creams on her face.
Her first ritual, 6 martinis the night before filming.
Miss Bennett, it's 7:35, you know. Your bath is ready. Thank you, Mary, I'm coming.
You guys, for a short time, I had a servant to help me bathe.
Really?
Huge, hairy guy named Big Ron.
Now I apply
Not
my
at all
stimulant
gentle
cream.
with a washcloth.
Just leave your mask on for as long as it takes to take a bath.
What's a buff?
Some girls wait until evening to take a bath.
It's like a bath, but instead of water, you
Those
use
girls
bouillon.
leave their masks
Oh, okay.
on while they're preparing breakfast. Oh, I could go on for hours.
And often do, which is why I'm not married.
Overall, the guys do a good job riffing, but the short goes by so fast there's not much time for them to establish a groove or anything.
But Miss Bennett, it's 7:45. Oh, all right. Whew. She's like an alarm clock, isn't she?
Remind me to sell her to the Vanderbilts later.
But maybe they're just lazy.
Says the woman who has a servant to fill her
Because
bathtub.
once you use your only put a little all over my face because I like a sheen.
A Charlie Sheen.
And sometimes, gives my face a nice lustrous glow.
A glow that says, I just misted myself with sausage grease.
And remember,
Never trust an Italian.
to be beautiful.
A blink and you'll miss it short with some enjoyable riffs. This one gets a 2 out of 5.
And now my lipstick.
And then it's back to bed. I've had one hell of a day.
Number 54, Teenagers on Trial from September 3rd, 2009.
These boys have made some interesting acquaintances in jail by now, but they condescend to nod to the newspaper man.
Hope you get the chair.
We're gonna burn down your homes.
Okay, was every single teenager in the 50s a delinquent? We've seen a few vandalism shorts so far in this series, and this one seems like it would be the least effective out of all of them. Unlike the previous ones, this one doesn't really tie any emotionally manipulative stories about particular kids, it just states how kids are such a menace to society and the community must get involved to stop it.
It's very clear that only the super bright and conscientious can ever hope to make the grade.
The rest will become entertainment reporters.
Too many kids are in business at night.
Daytime delinquency has many advantages.
Nightlife. Meanwhile, Mr. Black goes next door to struggle with a simultaneous shorthand class.
All while waitering at the TGI Fridays across the street. The man lives a wacky sitcom premise.
The juvenile court is a part-time affair, conducted in the criminal division of the circuit court. It convenes when it can on a crowded calendar.
This judge is actually a plumber who moonlights in court for beer money.
This is a matter of concern to all of us.
Except for the well-funded pro-juvenile delinquency lobby.
And perhaps the way these townsfolk did in town meetings, an old American way of confronting a community problem head-on.
We are confronting a community problem head-on.
It's also really bizarre how this is called teenagers on trial when half of these rambunctious kids are like 10 years old. I don't know why, but the narrator seems unnecessarily bitter and sarcastic.
And yet in this same town there is an element of unrest which gives rise to considerable anxiety among its citizens.
Rogue Mouseketeers.
When evident,
The young Ernest T. Bass.
window replacements are a growing market.
Thanks to these young entrepreneurs.
Adolescent ladies.
The law of supply and demand works too well in the used car market.
This can lead to cheeky, facetious narrator.
Its attendance has doubled in 10 years' time.
They give away free
Buses bring
iPods.
boys and girls from 25 miles away. Great.
Fine, whatever. See if I care.
Sure, the retail merchandise is moving mysteriously fast.
Ah, hell, here goes my milk money.
Sure, sports are fine.
If you're a
But
girl.
the question of just what constitutes sport in some of these kids' minds is what worries these policemen.
Some kids think soccer is a sport, but the police know it's a threat to society.
In some cases, they have no real home to go to.
Ah, poor
These days, many
policemen.
parents
A lesson that apparently needs to be learned time and time again. This entry gets a 3 out of 5.
2% may not seem very much, but as long as there is one youthful offender,
We can keep
every
making
factor
cornball
contributing
educational
to
films like
delinquency
this
must be
one.
examined.
Number 55, CORK, Crashes and Curiosities, from September 7th, 2009.
Organizing a motor race is a costly business, and only rich countries like Ireland can afford one.
We decided to pay for that
Ireland
rather than
ran a
indoor
motor derby
plumbing.
recently.
Let's hop across the Atlantic and join our Irish narrator to look at some vehicles. We'll be seeing many kinds of motorcycles and cars, some being used in races and others just being shown off. And even though the short is literally named after a place in Ireland, we'll be seeing races from around the globe.
Now, how about selling you a nice private tank
Of
that gives
nitrous
civilians
oxide?
all the pleasures of army life, goes over anything or anybody, and knocks the stuffing out of it?
As long as they're Protestant.
Sonny Manac, the first official track race ever held in Florida.
And we now know that racing cars never did catch on in the South. Yes, the Jerry Lewis Invitational.
Hey, lady, I'm out with the buddies.
Here, for instance, is Paul, the famous French driver, having
Le
his
Paul,
Delahaye car
please.
weighed. Well, mud is a well-known beauty treatment, so wives, if you'd restore your husbands to perpetual youth and beauty, send them to this beauty parlor.
It's the cosmetic equivalent of Irish cuisine.
Listen, Indianapolis, here I come.
Ugh, that's a very depressing sentence.
Why is it that in any country where they have high, rough and dangerous hills, they immediately decide it is just the place for motorcyclists to uplift?
It really cheeses me off, boyo.
This was a real, the new kind of car that's easier to get out of when you're hit by a taxi.
When?
We
Not
haven't
if,
time to go
because
into
it's
mechanical
inevitable,
details,
friends.
But roughly, also the latest in bicycles. The worst of cycling is that the dust gets in your throat.
Crowding out the Guinness and cigarette smoke.
Always after me Lucky Charms, my spine.
Now, I personally have never really understood the appeal of racing, and this short certainly didn't help any.
The first day was given over to practice. All the competitors practicing for the 3 races constituting the Irish Motor Derby.
And yes, I know I say that funny. Piss off,
Cork
Yank!
Circuit. Is this a future Grand Prix winner?
No, he'll be sent off to toil in the mines next year.
You see Bira cornering at the head of the procession.
Before Wario flattens him with a red
They
shell.
came down a
Bugs Bunny has seized control of the orchestra.
They never got far with this original concept for the cartoon wacky races. It was called dull races.
David Ewell wins and gets his wreath. Funny habits motorists have. They get wreaths for moving quicker than the other fellows, and their victims get wreaths for not moving quick enough.
Pottery kid, our national
ran the
tradition of
international
vehicular
light car
homicide.
Daredevils of the West Coast in San Francisco Club Championship took hairpin bends all out.
It was still dull
Wasn't
as
long before
sin.
the hairpin, danger reduced to its lowest limit, no casualties.
Whatever those are.
Bullmeyer number 8. Bira won and got his wreath too, and his family had materials for green salads for a month.
His
Then he
family
drove
is
into the
poor.
paddock and was mounted. No, why is it that crowds always gather at corners? Is it to see the cars turn round or turn over?
We came for blood!
Death and or dismemberment!
Things were getting monotonous.
No!
Victoria House is proud to provide temporary housing for all widows of men killed in today's race.
The races may be dull, but the riffs sure aren't, and they get this one to a 4 out of 5.
Things with wheels, won't you?
As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
It's time for